Hello, I'm Andrew Lamming from the Graduate School of Education, where my work aims to develop a nationwide measure of high school performance by linking NAPLAN with ATAR. Now, we all know competition for university can be severe, and choice of school and ATARs that are promised are clearly big business. Parents crave performance information about schools. It's a vacuum filled by NAPLAN and ATAR, which dominate the lay press and is often misinterpreted. So my research aims to unify federal and state-based datasets into a more powerful 3-year growth measure, sophisticated enough to quantify school impact, but simple enough to be understood by parents. Take your favourite sport. We don't decide the premiers by adding up player statistics on grand final day. We follow teams for a fair baseline all the way through and reward performance over time. So similarly, the school journey from a fair NAPLAN baseline through to ATAR 3 years later is a better approach, because the current system entices schools to game the system and cherry pick. The community also, they expect similar schools to be producing similar ATAR outcomes, and if they're not, they need to ask why. So a growth focus, it isn't new. NAPLAN already attempts it, as did the US, where they actually tied student growth to teacher payments, disastrously pitting teachers against each other. That's why this work looks only at school level, and it allows staff to work as a team. We apply two methods here, school value added and growth percentiles, and we're going to explore which might work best in the Australian setting and why. Education, as Maslow famously said, is fundamentally about stepping forward into growth rather than backwards into safety. Australia's school system right now feels besieged by harsh international comparison. A growth metric offers us that master key to pick a number of these smaller locks that have held schools back for decades. What growth is achieved by school sectors? By regions, by holistic and faith-based models? Can we identify the impact of student mobility on growth and whether pumping up NAPLAN results might impact that measure? Principals have their doubts about big data, and those from the poorest schools convinced me that only a focus on growth recognises their staff's thankless work. Helping a wealthy family access a medical degree instead of optometry, well, that's a private good. But the rest of the sector helping entire school cohorts raise their ATARs even slightly delivers both social impact and public good. And that's why a reliable and valid national growth measure for senior schooling, without more student testing, is a worthy idea. Beyond the statistical challenges we face, we recognise this work will only succeed if this measure is trusted by schools and ultimately adopted by parents. Our research success benchmark is really simple. Let's change this currency in education and replace the annual ATAR data dump with recognition of high growth schools and the staff that make it happen.